Alright, we got some insanity last night to decide who made it to the semifinals of the in-season tournament. 100K was riding on this game, and if you don't think these players are taking this thing seriously, you're crazy. We got bowling pins in this LeBron drive that of course ends with Anthony Davis on the ground. Both stars of the Suns were just laying out after the ball, desperate to get it back for their team. We had more AD crashing to the floor and getting whacked in the face. Ow, that's gotta hurt. As Kim Kardashian is so excited, she's got her Skims in a bunch. KD was getting feisty with the push and he knew it. Wasn't gonna argue that call. But they get him back later with the triple team where he winds up lying on the beach with no chaise lounge. The game had it all, from KD to AD. LeBron hitting Nurk in the nuts, but then asking him, "You alright?" My problem. And Nurkic looks like he's been beaten up enough and wants nothing more to do with any of this. Here's Booker waiting patiently to warm up for his match at Wimbledon, but who knew he'd get into an octagon cage match with Cam Reddish? Book gets whacked in the head before taking the nasty tumble to the floor. Then Reddish tries to DDT him before we get the French version of Devant Booker. Book must have had some exciting news to tell Reddish and couldn't wait for the play to stop to let him know. And then he tries to complain to the ref. He's a flopping ass hose, man. He's been flopping all game. Booker let us know a few years ago how much he hates double teams.
Hey bro, we not doubling in open gym, bro.
Yeah, we are.
So the Lakers were kind enough to oblige, but that was nothing compared to the very ending of this game. Suns down 2, 11 seconds left, and the Lakers need to do a couple of things. Get the ball inbounds and then get it past the half-court line within 8 seconds. The Suns don't need to foul right away. LeBron inbounds to Reeves, and there is some contact here, but if you watch it closely, Reeves moves back into Booker probably more than Booker moves into him. So it makes sense to me why the refs didn't touch it. And this was confirmed in the last 2-minute report. Thank you very much. But now we've got Reeves completely off balance and trying to dribble the ball to save his life. He puts his left hand on the floor to stop from falling. He's barely controlling the dribble here and knocks it over to his left hand as KD steps in and gets a hand on the ball. Reeves' left hand is trying to cradle it, but Booker gets over there, and now it's a scrum for the ball. Durant knocks the ball away, and we've seen over and over that when there's a loose ball like this, all three players are entitled to go after it, and much of what happens is deemed incidental contact. You can see Reggie Miller up on his feet. Why is he wearing a vest? And people wanted to point to this freeze frame where it does appear this would be a foul. But if you watch the video, this has to be barely 1/30th of a second before the ball is completely free. And I don't think human reaction time can account for such a quick event. Now pay attention, since everyone on Twitter was getting this wrong. The ball does hit off of Devin Booker's heel and rolls away. Everyone wanted this to be a kicked ball, but the rule is that in order to have a kicked ball violation, the kick must be intentional. I'll say it again for those who might have nodded off. The kick has to be intentional. There is simply no way Booker meant to contact the ball with his foot in the middle of his dogfight for the ball. Then people wanted to argue, well, the refs call it a kick sometimes when it's not intentional, but that's like saying you should get busted for smoking weed in California because it's illegal in Idaho. Then they were up in arms about this LeBron turnover earlier in the game, but it's the same rule. As LeBron just fires a missile off of his foot, there was no way Booker in this position could have made sure to get his foot in the path of the ball. Capiche? But wait, there's more. From the other side of the court, we see LeBron desperately signaling for a timeout, and the referee granting it. Now, the rule states that you must have control of the ball in order to call timeout. So I tried to sync these two angles to see exactly when LeBron calls it. It was a little tough because the one angle where we see everything is in regular time, while the replays all have different slow motion speeds. Remember, there's almost always a delay because it takes the human brain some time to process what is happening before the air can be blown through the whistle and the timeout called. So, can we figure out exactly when that is? Here's LeBron opening his mouth to begin to call the timeout. At this exact moment, we can see the ball pinned to the left leg of Reeves. Here is where LeBron gets his head turned to the ref and the first moment the ref could even begin to process the request. Now, the ref doesn't begin to raise his hand until the ball has already rolled to the midline of the court. So, what he has to do is decide in an instant whether or not Reeves had control of the ball back in time when his brain first processed the timeout request. In real time, it's hard to imagine anyone deeming that this was control of the ball. Factor in that the ref was at least 35 feet away, possibly had Grayson Allen blocking his view, and it's just a tough situation all the way around. Allen does recover the ball before it went out of bounds, and they might have had something with Booker in the lane and only Davis back. But at that point, everyone had stopped, so we'll just never know what could have happened had this been ruled a turnover. But what do you think? Should the Lakers have gotten that timeout? Should we go to the FIBA rule that says you can't call a live ball timeout? The NBA's last 2-minute report says it was the correct call, as they feel the ball was controlled here when it was trapped between his hand and his thigh. And we've seen this in the past, where a ref could be that far away and see the timeout signal and correctly ascertain that the team had control of the ball at the same time. So credit LeBron for making a heads-up play a fraction of a second before it would have been too late. Plus, he was simply awesome throughout the whole game, and now they've got a matchup with the Pelicans in Vegas, and I can't wait, especially when I can play Prize Picks and make the whole experience even more fun. You're only competing with yourself, and you can choose 2 or more players from any sport. Pick more or less on their projected stats and place your entry. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS for a first deposit match up to $100. Why not have fun watching your favorite NBA team while also giving yourself a chance to win some money?